Hi, welcome back to Cambridge Inside Out. I am Judy Nathans.
And I'm Robert Winters. So, one thing we have going on right now, as of yesterday, July
Yeah.
1st, 2019, was the first day that the municipal election candidates could pick up nomination papers to run for the November election. There has been a lot of speculation on who's in it. Some people have been making announcements, some of the new candidates. But you don't really know what's going to happen until people actually start pulling the papers
Got a
here.
little smaller.
All right, so actually, let's take a look here and see what we got here for candidates here. All right, so some of the candidates are people we already knew about. So Patty Nolan made known that she was in fact going to be running for not school committee but city council with in a rather funny
Yeah.
video.
Oh, yeah. She did a somersault.
Yeah, but there's a
No, cartwheel, excuse me.
right. So there are some other characters as well who've decided
Do you
to
know
pull papers.
this? This is a new name to me.
All right. So Jeff
All right.
Jeff McNary is a guy who I actually do
Oh.
know who he is.
God, he's my age.
I don't know him particularly well, but the thing is, he has been coming to some of the election commission meetings in recent times,
Uh-huh.
and has been speaking
So you know who
on
he
some
is?
things. So I know who he is. I don't know a whole lot about him.
Oh.
I mean, I do know, some of his past addresses and things because I
Why
have
do you think
access
he's
to
running?
these things. Sometimes people run because they're going to try and make a point about something or something, and they say,
Yeah.
well, this is something I always
Right.
wanted to do. And by the way, just because somebody pulls nomination
Doesn't mean they're
papers,
going to turn them in.
it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to turn them in.
Right.
Right? We've got a few candidates who've already turned in papers, but only on
Oh.
the school committee side,
Okay.
right?
All right, so then you have Nicola Williams.
And then
who's
Nicola
been-
Williams, who
she's
we
pulled, yeah,
Yeah,
she's
so
been interested
she
in a while.
announced that she was
Right.
going to be a candidate some time ago.
Right.
So she was one of the first people to pull the papers on July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
The next candidate on the list is Jamaki Pascual, or Pascual Navarro is what he's going on now. He was actually a candidate some years ago.
Oh.
Lived at a different address, I believe, in those days. I think I see him working, doing, I don't know if it's volunteer work or paid work over for food for free.
Oh, really?
So I've seen him over
I'll
the
have to ask about
years.
that 'cause
Yeah,
yeah,
so
okay.
he's around, right?
And then
Paul
Paul
Toner
Toner.
pulled
So
papers.
you thought that might happen, right? Or-
The thing is that he was I think he was the last candidate counted,
Right,
or one of the last
yeah.
candidates counted
Might have
out.
been like 10.
So it was like about a 99 vote gap between him and
Right.
Craig Kelly, I believe,
Yeah, so
in
yeah.
the deciding round in the 2017 election. Question is a lot of the decisions about whether you're going to be a candidate or not can be based on viability in terms of what seat is open. Are there any particular hot issues? Is anybody going to be retiring?
Right.
In other words, you don't want to spend a lot of money and waste a lot of time
Right.
if there's not a viable chance. So I think Paul has decided that he has a viable chance.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a good first run.
Well, there were 3 openings then.
And there were multiple openings,
there's only one
but
so
the problem
far,
is there was
yeah.
also, I think Paul, Sean Tierney, Alana Mallon were we all kind of knew them as the 3 recruits from David Marr.
Oh, true.
So I think
right.
they were all trying
And
to
Paul-
be the person to succeed
right.
David
And
Marr.
Paul Toner and Sean were also more North Cambridge.
Right, so
Okay,
regionally they had
yeah.
a little bit in common, whatever.
Yeah, right.
you know,
And Jan was up there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So some things have changed. Sean Tierney's not in the mix this time, so maybe Paul could attract some of the voters that might have gone for Sean.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
So this is for
right.
him to decide
Okay,
and
then we have
decide whether to turn
we have
in.
the usual, well, not the usuals, but we have our incumbents, Sumbul,
Several
Clinton, and
incumbents,
Mark.
right? And
And-
Adrienne Musgrave has let it be known that she would be
long
seeking.
time ago, she
Right.
yeah.
So she pulled papers on the first day.
Yeah.
A person named
person,
Sukiya
who's
Akib.
this?
I was actually in the election commission office when she
Oh, really?
came in. It's
Sue
actually
Young?
she's I think in her 30s
Oh.
or something. I'm going to guess it could be
Okay.
younger. She recently married, so there was a confusion about her last name
Oh.
because I think she's using her married name
see.
now.
I see.
But she's kind of a complete unknown. I don't think she's long living in Cambridge, but I don't know that. I have to get the database to sort of look up some of these folks, and I don't really have that information just yet. So then Craig Kelly pulled papers. Now, one thing that was really kind of got interesting was that Another person who pulled papers was Hector Acevedo. Now, Hector is a very, very short fellow who works with the, is it the Agenda for Children? Or, and he was the person who got an award, is sort of like one of the city, great employees,
Oh, yeah?
awarded by the city manager. He made a magnificent speech. The one thing I can say about Hector is that he is one of the most likable people everybody has ever met.
Wow.
Right? So just the fact that he's in here, if he does follow through on this, he will change the tenor of the candidate forums or whatever for the better, just
Yeah.
because of the kind of human being that he is.
Nice.
I don't know who Diana Desera is, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
even say a whole lot about that. And then I think the last person,
It's newish is this Derek?
right? So then there was so Burhan Azim it
He's
was
been
known
around,
that
yeah.
he was going to be running. So
22.
so he's definitely the youngest amongst them all. And then Derek Capone, who's, by the way, has already sent me in for a photo, so I already have him in the candidate pages,
Must
which
be
we'll take a look at in a
MIT,
second.
engineer. Every time I see engineer,
There's
I think
actually a lot
MIT.
of engineers.
But are they all MIT?
I don't know if they're ex-MITs,
Yeah.
but the thing is there may be a lot of MIT graduates who settled into Cambridge, right? And I think then Denise Simmons pulled papers. I think, was that this morning? I can't remember now.
I don't know.
Yeah. So then and then
Alana.
Alana Mallon is the last one that before I checked. Actually, when I was coming over here, Greg Morey had also pulled papers,
Oh,
but
right. I saw that name actually.
not
Neither
in
of
time
us
for
has
me to
that.
actually add him onto the list here.
But isn't there someone else that is running that announced that you don't? Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Scroll down. Scroll down. So the thing is that also, in addition to the city council, there's also on the school committee side.
Yeah.
So the first person to pull papers was a new candidate, the new incumbent, Aisha Wilson, right? And she's already turned in papers and has already been unofficially certified
All within
with
1 day?
73. Yeah. I mean, you have some candidates who do that.
I guess 'cause- yeah.
Freddie Fantini, he turned in 84 signatures. I believe he got 82 certified. I didn't have time to update this page. So he's now unofficially on the
Who's
ballot.
this person?
Burnett Dawson, I don't know who that person is, but the thing is that right now, I mean, look, there's only 5 people with full papers.
Yeah,
There's
and
6
the incumbents
seats.
haven't,
Right.
pulled papers yet.
Yeah, and then Kathleen Kelly, I was in the office when she came in to pull papers. I don't know who Christopher Lim is,
Yeah.
but yet another engineer
Yeah.
running for
Boy.
school
I
committee.
don't think they're going to
One thing,
tech our way out.
I don't think there'll be a big announcement to say
Yeah.
this, but in addition to Patty Nolan not seeking
Oh, you know
a seat
something?
on there, Les Kimbrough will not be seeking
Really?
re-election.
Oh,
So
I'm upset about that.
yeah, so I think he's got his reasons. So
Yeah.
so
You
I,
wanna go back to us?
sure. So he's not going to make a big deal about it, but the
Yeah.
thing is that he's just decided he's not going to do it. So and that happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's actually another person for school committee. Again, didn't have time to add it. Was Monika Bowman pulled papers
Oh,
today
okay.
as well. So and she will definitely be running
Now,
as
isn't
well.
there someone that announced that didn't pay papers yet that is very, what's his name? You had it on the original.
Actually, if we
yeah.
go to the Cambridge candidate pages,
Yeah, I
what
got
I
it.
have in
It's
there
right here.
is I've been trying to add to them the
Okay.
names, even if I don't have pictures yet.
Okay, here
But-
they are.
Just to see who's running
Okay.
here. So I'll actually scroll to the very top of that one.
Oh, the top?
Top, yes. All right, so I put in Hector and
Okay.
Sukiya, but again, no pictures for them. Burhan, Dennis Carlone he is running, he's already had an event,
Right.
a kickoff.
Okay.
But he hasn't pulled papers yet, but he will.
Okay.
I put Indiana Desir. Charles Franklin has not yet pulled
Yeah.
papers,
So,
but
it's
he's
a while
definitely been
ago.
raising and
Yeah.
spending piles of
Right.
money. Craig Kelly has now pulled papers. He's running,
Uh-huh.
definitely running. Derek Capone, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. He's running.
I hate, I won't say this.
Yeah, so he's Anyway, it was kind of nice. This is one of those cases where somebody actually is already sending me materials for the candidate pages without my even having to ask. So
Wow.
it's kind of.
I can click on it, but I'm not going to, not yet.
Yeah, really.
All right.
Alana Mallon
Yeah,
is
right.
definitely running, and Mark McGovern is definitely running. So Jeffrey McNary has pulled papers. We'll see whether he actually runs or not. Greg Morey has now pulled papers, so he's said that he's running,
Okay.
as is Musgrave, Patty Nolan, Jamaki. John Pitkin, I'm putting him in here there
Yeah, you
because
mentioned that.
John
yeah.
John is more or less said he's very much
Really?
strongly considering
We're
running
gonna have another
and
big
whatever.
slate. I mean, all these people. It's gonna be about 22. It's
We
gonna be like
got
the
about
Democratic
24 here
candidates.
right now. Yeah.
All
So
right, this is the person I'm thinking of that announced a while ago, but he's not pulled papers yet.
right, but the thing is, though, Craig Kelly has sometimes not pulled papers till the last
Yeah,
week.
but he's an incumbent. This guy has
Right.
been saying he's going to run.
Oh
for
yeah,
the
and
longest
he's
time.
absolutely, and he's running, and he's
I guess it's
spending
no
and
big
raising
deal.
a lot of
Yeah.
money. So
All right.
and Ben Simon is
Yeah.
in there. One thing
Okay.
I did find kind of curious was
What?
that I think it was Charles Franklin wrote this gigantic donation to Ben Simon's campaign.
Really?
Yeah, it hasn't shown up in the bank reports yet,
Wow.
but it's just
That
like
is
like
kinda-
the maximum. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's one thing for
Yeah.
one candidate to write a check to support
Right.
another
But
candidate.
if they're both running,
No, if you do that, actually, some of the people who are part of a slate sometimes make a token donation to each other's campaign, sort of as a statement of support. But it was kind of a curious to see like a nearly $1,000 contribution
wow.
to one person. I said, "What's going on there?"
Yeah, what is
I,
going
I
on
have
there?
no idea what's going on there.
That's
So
interesting.
there's Jivan Sabrina
Yeah.
Wheeler, who's been knocking doors. You could probably already can
Yeah.
find some flyers sitting on the ground
Yeah, he
that
goes
have
to, yeah.
fallen off people's doors. So I got Paul Toner in there now, Tim Toomey, Nicole Williams, and Quentin Zonerman. So we're up to
Yeah, I got it.
24 in there.
Wow, and that's without some of the incumbents. Oh, no, you had the.
No.
that's
Anybody
right.
who I think is there,
Right.
plus people who have pulled
So
papers.
24, what was the last one? 26?
I think it was, yeah.
Jeez.
And we're pretty much at the limit of what the ballot could have held until we made
Yeah.
this modification recently. So
Okay, now
this
we
is
have
the-
school committee.
Yeah, so right now, again,
you
there are
don't have
6
any
seats, we've
photos.
got 7 candidates,
And Lawrence
and then
Cooper
a
not
couple who I don't
running.
know. Yeah, so, right, so the thing is I imagine there'll still be another candidate or two will come for
So
school
that's
committee.
2 openings.
Yeah, there's only 4 incumbents who'll be
Yeah.
running for school committee, and so at least two new
Wow.
people will run. And by the way, we don't necessarily know that all of these folks are definitely going to seek reelection.
Probably.
Right, Monica pulled papers, Freddie did, Kathleen did, Aisha's
Yeah.
in there.
Maybe.
Emily Dexter hasn't yet pulled
That's
papers,
interesting,
but my presumption is that she will,
Well,
so.
but it's fun. Okay, it's interesting.
Anyway,
but-
so this, we're at the circus, it's all happening, right? And I say, there have been people who have pulled papers in the past and who didn't actually follow through. So this is all very, very provisional. It's also only July 2nd, and they've got till July 31st to take care of all of this. Of course, nobody's going to be pulling papers on July 31st unless they're trying to do
Yeah.
a real surprise, like one of those, what do they call them in presidential elections, an October surprise? Pull something at the last minute that upsets the election balance or something.
But it's
like
just,
that.
I have to say, I mean, Patty Nolan and Lawrence Kimbrough were supportive of Emily Dexter during this whole thing that happened this year. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be hard.
I
for her,
was talking with some people
Yeah.
about school committee, and
Yeah.
I said, the joke was, hey, listen, if there's only 5 or 6 candidates running for 6 seats, hey, anybody could run. And I thought, hey, maybe I should run. I know a lot about teaching,
Yeah,
and then
me
my feeling about that is that even if that might be
Yeah.
interesting, the environment,
it's
the
not-
toxicity
it
of what
is.
goes on at school committee
It's
is
like,
worse than city
Be
council.
careful of anything, I hate to say it, but.
It's like
race
walking a
card's gonna be really,
minefield
like, thrown at
everywhere,
you
and and it's you can your intentions can be perfect, but if somebody's just sort of out to try and trip you up, they're going to try and
Yeah.
trip you up.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think of it, working for the school committee could potentially be what we would call a toxic work environment.
It has
And
gotten
I'm
dicey.
not
Yeah.
I'm not even eager to go watch them
Yeah.
at
No,
this
I agree
point.
with you, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's
So let's go on to some more other things that aren't so political.
yeah, and again, we'll do updates in the future. And again,
Yeah.
go to the Cambridge candidate pages or
Yeah.
this other set that I've been setting
I
up
mean-
here of just people who
Right, I
pulled
mean, it is
papers.
the summer and the
Yeah.
next city council meeting isn't until July 29th, although there's lots of hearings. but-
Yeah,
So our schedule may not be every week, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
What happens.
I may not be every week.
Right.
He can be here.
Right. Now, one thing that happened
Yeah.
last week that
Yeah.
we both attended, which is really kind of fun, was
Yeah.
the open
Well, I only
archives
attended
tours.
one of the archives. You attended quite
I
a
went
few.
to 5.
Well, that's 'cause you're such a.
Well, I mean, its
You're the-
schedule worked
you're the
out.
history nerd.
I kind of navigated my way around
Yeah.
errands because you could choose which ones you could want to go to, and I like to go to a lot of them. So over the course of the week, I went to one at MIT Museum.
Yeah.
I did one at the Cambridge Room of the Cambridge Public Library with the library with Alyssa Pacey, which was really good.
Yeah, she's so good. Yeah.
She's great, really. One of my favorite city employees.
Yeah.
On Wednesday was a really great time. We were both for the
Yeah,
Cambridge Historical
right,
Commission.
yeah.
And they did things a little bit different. It wasn't done like as a real presentation with a
They
lot of
laid
stuff.
certain
There's
things out, right?
Lots of materials laid out in multiple locations in their cramped offices, but it was all laid out.
Yeah.
And then you just and it was just a lot of sort of chatting and talking, and it
Yeah.
was
Looking
informal.
up our houses.
We
It
looked
was
up our
fun.
houses and
Yeah, that was
finding
really
these
fun.
historic photos
They
and
have
whatever.
they have a photograph of every building in
Yeah,
Cambridge.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a little file on just about
You can go there,
everything.
you can-
Yeah, and it was fun doing that. They also had a lot of materials about like when the Planning Charter was
A lot of
adopted for
political stuff,
Cambridge,
yeah.
so some of the politics. And I actually knew some things that I was able to add to the conversation
Yeah.
for people there because this is something I have a strong
Yeah.
interest in. The funniest thing, of course,
know.
is I was over in the back room and there was
Looking
this.
at something.
I was looking at some pictures,
Yeah.
and they had a folder there with some photos, pretty good quality photos,
Yeah.
of the Cambridge Women's Commission from back in the
1983, yeah.
1980s. So I'm looking. I said, wait a minute, wasn't Judy on the Women's
Yeah,
Commission?
and he's saying, I think my
so
co-host.
so yeah. So
And
I'm
as
looking
he's
at the
saying
photo.
it,
I
yeah.
said, it's Judy
And I walked
Nathans.
right in then because I
And
was
then-
late.
And she walks in right next to me and goes, yeah. I go,
So here's
it's
the
Judy
photo.
Nathans.
And here's the photo. It's very large. I should have said it's smaller because you can't get the
Yeah,
whole
well,
thing
we'll
in.
see. We'll
But
see
this
what
is
we can do
basically
here.
1983.
There you go, right dead
Yeah.
center. There you go, Judy.
And there's Nancy Ryan way up on the top.
On top of the.
Yeah, I know this is Judy Mole, this is Mary Roger. I'd have to look at the names of these women here. This is Jean Wassell. Oh, I forget.
There
This
are
is Sybil Hendrickson. This is, oh gosh, I'm blocking on her name too. This is Fran Werda. I don't know who that is.
That's Fran
me.
Werda?
Yeah.
My goodness, I knew Fran.
Wait a minute. Or is
No.
that, yes, I think pretty sure, wait a minute, no.
No.
Wait, this is Marilyn Chaikin. There was a Fran Werda. Did she work for the Labor Department? Oh no,
I don't
it's somebody
know.
else. No, I know who you mean. This is not Fran. This is
No,
another
not
Fran, though.
Fran,
Yeah.
okay, different
okay.
Fran, yeah.
All
And
right.
there's Judy right up front,
I know.
looking, pretty spectacular,
Yeah,
Judy, I gotta
1980.
say.
It was half my life ago.
Half your life ago,
It's
yeah.
really depressing.
Yeah.
All right.
But-
So you have some other photos too. Well, let's go back to
Yeah,
this
yeah.
first. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool, and it was just funny how you
Yeah.
walked in right where I was
I
going.
know.
It's Judy
It was
Nathans.
just so weird.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. So there's
But there was a really great file on Cambridge Women's Commission. It had multiple it had pictures
and
from
by
a
the
whole
way,
range of
and you know who
years.
took a lot of them was Susan Fleischman.
Susan
'cause I turned
Fleischman,
over the
CCTV.
photograph,
It's just
Susan,
that's right.
And she was the photographer back then.
That's right. Absolutely.
1982. Because
Now-
the commission actually started in the late 70s, and Mark McGovern's mother was on one of the,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
first
yeah.
commission, Gail
Yeah.
McGovern.
So this was great seeing all of these things.
Wow.
I was loving
Yeah,
it.
that was nice.
Yeah.
So you went to many, like the archives were MIT. Which ones did you? Oh,
All
you
right,
went
so I
to the
did that
Cambridge
Cambridge
room.
room. This was Cambridge Historical Commission. The one Thursday was Thursday evening, when I try and go to every year.
Yeah.
Is the one at the Mount Auburn Cemetery.
Oh.
And the person who gives the tour there
Oh,
is Meg
really
Winslow,
bad here.
and she was actually at the Wednesday
Oh, really?
evening one as
Okay.
well. So she's like she's the curator of all the
Okay.
historical collections at the Mount Auburn Cemetery.
Okay.
So again, we got to sort of tell
Yeah.
the story about the not true story about how Mary Baker Eddy, who's buried at Mount Auburn Cemetery, was buried with a phone in her coffin. Totally false, but
How could you have a phone? We don't sell phones.
it was a crazy rumor. But there was a reason why that rumor grew. It had to do with the fact that when she passed away, I mean,
Yeah.
she was a very pivotal figure, but also somewhat
Yeah.
controversial in some
Yeah.
circles.
Yeah.
And there were people with the Mother Church, of Christian Scientist Church, who were concerned that somebody might steal her body.
Yeah.
And also they were
Wow.
they were designing and preparing a magnificent gravesite for her. So they weren't going to bury her yet. So they used to have a place, sort of where bodies were stored, especially in the winter when they couldn't
Yeah.
open the graves because they didn't have the means to do it
Right.
in those
Yeah.
days. And they were so concerned that something might be done wrong that they had a phone installed in that receiving building.
I see.
And then the guards had to call like every hour to the mother church just to sort of say, everything's good, everything's good, everything's good, right? And that fact that there was a phone line going in there and there was all this constant communication is, I
That's funny.
believe, where the birth of that rumor
yeah.
came from.
Wow.
You know, but they have wonderful stuff in the archives, and you know, and there's also some stories of sort of the, you know, it is a cemetery, so they do burials and
Well, you
cremations.
can go,
and
they have
whatever.
regular tours also. You
They
can
do
go on,
tours,
just
yeah.
to do the archives.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I like giving tours actually in the Mount Auburn Cemetery, which is
I went on one of those.
yeah. I mean, you can pick almost any
Yeah.
theme and then
You
plot
have to
out
like
a tour.
a lot of history folks, though, because you have to.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
have to
yeah.
listen to where they're born.
But you know, if you decided I want to do
Yeah.
a tour of the cemetery, focus on the theme of poets and artists.
Yes.
You
You
know,
could do that.
you could do it.
Yeah.
You know, I like to do ones on some of the civic and
You do
political,
more political people. Yeah.
But that's just because that's what's the easiest one for
beautiful
me,
place,
quite
yeah.
honestly. Great place, great natural environment.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
went,
that
and
was
I went to the
wonderful.
opening last year. It was the same day as the Astral Weeks thing. Open house of their new addition to
Yep,
where they do
over at the Bigelow
the
Chapel?
crematoriums. Yeah,
I-
it's above-
Yeah, it's
and it's-
Bigelow and Story Chapel, and I
right.
was confused
It's
the two.
Bigelow and
Yeah.
glass, but these really digitally enhanced crematorium, amazing. And
Yeah,
the same
it's-
guy that's been there for like over 30 years.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it's an incredible landscape and
Yes,
wonderful.
beautiful. This time of year, well,
Yeah.
actually, summer. Yeah, every
Right.
every spring, every season they have different flowering.
That's right. I mean, it's one of the best secret. It's one of the greatest places in Cambridge that actually is almost none of it in Cambridge.
Well, that's true. Everyone thinks
I
it
think
is,
about
but it's really
15%
Watertown.
of it is in Cambridge. Really,
Yes,
just the
That's true. It's
street frontage,
Watertown.
and it's almost all in
But
Watertown.
we like own it.
Well, I
we
mean, that's where
own
the
it,
gate.
Yeah.
You got to. You got.
Yeah.
It's the gate. The front gate is in Cambridge,
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's a Cambridge address.
All
All right.
right.
And then on Friday, they actually had. It wasn't a big spectacular one, but over at the
Oh.
Cambridge Community Center on
yeah,
Callender
I didn't do
Street,
that, yeah.
they had a little thing there, and they had some of the founding documents when they were established, and some of the history of that, and yeah, it was a great thing to just drop by there. And actually, some of the best part about doing these tours is not always just all the spectacular materials; it's the people you chat with when you go there.
Right. Right.
So I had
Yeah.
a great time visiting them.
Well, you're a
and,
schmoozer. We know that. Yeah.
oh yeah. So,
Okay.
so anyway, so that was pretty great. Yeah. So let's see. So what else do we
We
have
want
to?
to just show this because this happened
Oh yeah,
Friday.
yeah. Oh yeah. So this is this past Friday.
Yeah, there was
But right before the city dance party, and I was going to
Right.
go, and I totally spaced out. I
Yes,
forget it.
but
So,
I did go.
so this is at Di Guglielmo Plaza,
which is right in front of the old.
at Brattle Street.
The
yeah.
florist, right near
By
where the
the
florist
florist.
is.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah.
So here we
Actually,
go.
it was an empty retail space, so that was
Right.
kind of appropriate.
So
And
they
there
were-
it is.
It was a dedication because, as everybody knows, the Dewey Cheatham House sign up there
Right.
for car talk
Which
offices.
is going to stay, by the way. The
Yeah,
developers
that's
have
right. I
said
know.
that,
I've heard that.
yeah,
Yeah. So, that was Ray and Tom, and Tom passed away a few years ago.
Couple years
So they
ago,
did a little
yeah.
dedication,
quite
with a little plaque over
team
there on
that
the stone
long.
over at Di Guglielmo.
Yeah, it's
Plaza.
right in where you sit, and it's like I'm one of like the back part of where you sit.
Right.
And Tommy's laughter will forever ring in our fair city. Don't drive like my brother. Now, do you know Latin? Because
I do not.
I don't know if that is what that means. I don't think so. My daughter was trying to figure it out. But, Ray interpreted because he
Yeah.
went to Cambridge Latin, I guess.
Right.
so.
And they served up some food out here too.
Yeah, it was nice. They had they had pasta, little piece of pizza, and then there was
Yeah.
a beer garden, which I
Sort
think
of a
you paid
nice little
for.
Italian theme.
But Louis Di Pasquale spoke. Jan Devereaux, in the absence of Mark McGovern, who was
What?
in Europe.
Jan Devereaux was there commemorating somebody with a show called
That's
Car
true.
Talk?
You're right. I never thought of that.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I
Hey, look,
should
Louis had
probably-
never heard the show, and yet there he was announcing it.
Jan will host one called Bike Talk.
Yeah,
right?
right. And then Denise Gilson gave the more
From the
formal
Harvard
introduction.
Square Business Association.
Right, and then pointed out all these people, these two guys that had come up from North Carolina just for this event, and then
Yep.
all of a sudden everyone's yelling, "I'm from this place. I came from here." But I think some of them were here for the 4th. But
Right.
Who knows? It was fun. It was
Oh,
very
yeah, yeah.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So just a couple of the quick things in this
Yeah.
last few minutes here. one thing I just sort of failed to mention it last week,
Yeah.
but only because it's like, things that are controversial in the world happen almost unnoticed in Cambridge, okay? So they actually had a city council order that was basically, it was sort of hide the flag order.
Oh.
So the state flag, which some people object to.
Yeah.
So they
A lot
said,
of people object
said,
to it,
so
Robert.
what's the law say? Must we have it in the city council
Chamber,
chamber?
or can it be
Apparently it
somewhere?
has to be somewhere in City Hall, so they
Well,
voted
there's lots of places.
like 9-0
Yeah,
to hide
yeah.
it away.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, it could be in the mayor's office. Oh, I
put it in
bet
the
he won't
mayor's
do- he won't
office,
do
or you
that.
could
It's
put it
too
in
political.
the, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just sort of thought, kind of a weenie thing to do,
Well,
honestly.
we're gonna get a lot of flack about that.
Fine, I'm more than happy
There's
to
a long
accept
thread
it.
about that in somebody's Facebook page. I forget who's it.
Yeah.
Anthony David? I don't know who that is. I guess he doesn't.
That's Anthony Galluccio.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, that's Anthony Galluccio.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, people should read that thread between you
Yeah.
and Quentin and
Yeah,
everybody else.
I mean, the only thing that didn't surprise me that this order passed, because it's
No.
just what they do. I mean, goodness, we decided to send an order chastising Muammar Gaddafi one time, so we do
Well,
stuff like that. It's
yeah,
like a
but this is
Cambridge
more-
tradition.
I guess we're not the only people to complain about the flag. in the
Yeah,
state.
I know, but the thing is, I didn't think it was going to be a 9-0
I think
vote, but
most
I think it was.
people saw it as sort of, they don't see the arm on top, they see the Indian and saying, oh yeah, Indian, Massachusetts, they were important
I
to
know.
Massachusetts.
Yeah,
That's how I saw it, but if you were Indian, I guess
you
don't
can
see it that
you can
way.
make a controversy out of almost anything.
Yeah.
Really could.
And
you
how
know.
much are you gonna change?
Right.
Everything.
I just thought it would maybe be like Tim Toomey or Craig Kelly would say, well, I don't see the point of this, and they would vote
No, it's-
present or
it's an
something, and then it
election
was like
year.
9-0.
No.
I think that was a little strange.
What about changing all the streets? That's an order that I think Denise, that,
Oh,
I'm sorry, that's too much.
honestly,
People don't associate those names with slavery.
I know.
And yet, put a plaque, educate people.
Yeah, do that,
But you can't
Um,
take everything away.
yeah,
That's how I feel.
you're right. I mean, I'm looking at
Time and
even,
money and
yeah,
it's
so we
just-
got to change all the street names here
Yeah.
from things that everybody's familiar with, and
Yeah.
everybody's got to change their addresses officially and do this
We
here.
all have
just
some
because of
say
somebody's
in our
pulling-
history.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Learn from it. That's what history's for. Learn from it.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Make
so.
it known.
All right. Anyway,
All right,
so
we're
we're
gonna
just
get
pretty
in
much
trouble.
out of time.
Yeah.
and
We'll see
and
you
I'm gonna-
maybe next week, I guess. We'll
Possibly
see.
next week on Cambridge Inside Out.
Bye.